Hello and welcome to Experience Share. It's a Pokemon podcast starring me, Tanapede.
Which one is it going to be? Scolipede?
Venipede.
Damn it.
AKA Tanner Greenring, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Gallade.
Gallade. That's a nice one. Gallade.
Yeah. Took me a while to find yours, but I eventually got my way there.
2 new ones, I think. Well done.
We play through each Pokemon game, kingdom by kingdom, week by week. We are in an interstitial season talking about Pokemon Conquest, and we are on our third set of kingdoms this week. Usually we like to tackle 3 kingdoms at a time.
That's our thing.
The game tricked us this week.
It did.
It set us up to take on the next 3 gyms, or next 3 kingdoms. Chrysalia, Terrera, and Illusio.
Illusio. And there's also a dispute about Chrysalia versus Chrysalis, because it's like Chrysalis in the game, I think, but all the guides online call it Chrysalia.
Oh, really?
I'm like, what is it?
Maybe
Why
we
is
have like
this
an
a
early
dispute?
edition of the game or something, you know?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And Chrysalia would make a lot more sense because Chrysalis sounds like it's like some sort of, incubating like larva.
Well, he is the bug leader.
So that makes a lot of sense.
So
it should
and
be
I think
Chrysalis.
Chrysalia is a kind of plant, so it is going to be Chrysalis.
Well, we solved that.
Case closed.
Off to a good start today.
But anyway, they tricked us because once you're done with Chrysalis, you have the choice to go take on Terrera or Illusio. And regardless of what you do, and our paths did diverge, Joshua, and we'll get into that.
In a big way.
Regardless of what you do, the other kingdom immediately caves and the warlord kowtows to you and joins you. So we really only took on 2 kingdoms this week. But I tell you what, Josh, the way I was playing, felt like I took on about 1,000.
I think so. I had a pretty chill week, actually. I haven't touched it for about 3 days. It's Saturday afternoon. Josh and I usually record on Tuesdays, but on Tuesday night I texted Josh and said it was like an hour before we're gonna record, and I was like, I just can't do it, man. I just can't do it. Kenshin, and I was like, what?
In Illusio he's unstoppable. He's an unstoppable force, the one that God created that we hear about in all those logic problems. It's Kenshin.
And I was like, I took one look at his Gallade that's got like 335 attack power or something, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and not do that one. Especially because I had basically nobody who was super effective against Psychic, which is his thing. Yeah. And so I just went to Terrera, and I had a hell of a time. Yeah,
we'll get to that, Joshua. It was a nightmare. It was nightmarish for me, but...
It sounded like it.
Last week, we ended the week in Pugilis Kingdom, where we took on the guy who runs Pugilis Kingdom, who's the fighting guy. I'll tell you this right now, Josh.
Mr. Pugilis? Yeah.
I do a lot of training in this game. I do a lot of grinding, especially headed into Illusio. But the guy who runs Pugilis Kingdom is this big old man with a big white beard and mustache.
Yeah.
And he's got a girder. And once you've defeated Pugilis, he hangs out there at
Yoshihiro.
He hangs out there at the cave or whatever. So you can go and recruit him. I think I probably went into that cave to battle him and his friends maybe 36 times, and he has eluded me every single time.
Jesus.
I've never caught what is his name? Yoshihiro. I've never caught him. I don't know how to do it. I've killed him in one hit. I've taken no damage from him. I've killed his entire team in under 3 turns. I've done everything I possibly could do to beat these guys. And he's still, every time it goes to the recruitment screen, it says Yoshimoto has wandered off.
He's incorrigible?
He's my white whale.
That's fascinating. What
do you know about him? What are you researching?
I'm looking him up on that vcoon.com website.
What's Captain Ahab's friend's name? Ishmael.
Yeah.
Famously.
His best friend.
You can be Ishmael, and you can help me catch this white whale.
I'll give it a shot.
Because I don't know how to catch this guy. I don't necessarily even want a girder. Keep in mind, I have 10 girders across my warlords.
I have a girder anyway, so I hadn't really even thought about trying to recruit him.
But he always shows up as a gold icon when you're like on the main overworld looking at the big kingdom, if you mouse over any of the kingdoms, it shows you what like actions are available for you in that kingdom.
Yeah.
And if there's a warlord to be caught, it'll show it as a little man icon. But if it's a special warlord, it shows it as a little gold man icon. And he always shows up as a gold man icon, and I always go in to try to catch him.
Well,
and
he's just certainly catchable.
I don't know. This game surprises me in new ways every week, Josh. Certainly surprised me this week. But anyway, we beat him.
All right, I'll give it a shot next week. I'll try to get him.
So then the new gym that has opened up is Chrysalis. And that's where we're headed next. Chrysalis is run by weirdo. Is that okay to say? He's an awfully weird gentleman.
I would say Yoshimoto is a tad
Wait, I thought
askew.
Yoshimoto was the pugilist guy.
No, this is Yoshimoto. That was Yoshihiro. Tanner.
Oh, Yoshihiro. Okay, yes.
Yoshimoto is Chrysalis'
what a character.
King. And he is basically that big baby from Spirited Away.
Yeah. Yeah, he's that big baby that witch transforms.
Yeah, exactly.
Into like a hamster or something.
He is always like screeching. He's very decadent. He can't believe that you're even showing up at the castle not to just wine and dine and play this game.
Oh, and his like
Pokemari,
yeah.
And he's stunned that you are just invading and want to kill him.
I guess technically they're the insect kingdom, right?
Yeah.
But not really, and that's the tricky part. Now the kingdoms are all starting to get a little bit more unpredictable because even though like you see the name and you see that Yoshimoto has a Pineco, I think, right?
Yeah, his signature is Pineco.
Everyone else in his kingdom has like the wildest Pokemons: Ekans, Rufflet, Carnivine, and Pichu. Poison, flying, grass, and electric. It's like you can't stack your teams anymore, you know?
Pichu is like a stretch by any definition of bug, but at least Carnivine is like, buggy. It eats bugs. It's like a Venus flytrap.
I guess
grass
it's kind of
type
buggy. Yeah.
But yeah, it's no longer like, oh, I'm just going to go into this thing with only fire Pokemon, or it's like you have to bring in, well, aside from that, we have to bring in our normal types from our cells and Luigi.
That wasn't even the final battle, though. That's just one of the zones. The final battle's a little bit better. It's Pineco, Venipede, Spheal, Venipede, and Sewaddle.
Yeah, the Spheal sort of stands out.
The Spheal definitely stands out. The Venipedes in this game are atrocious. They're like unusably bad. I have a couple of guys with Venipedes, and they just they have no talent out on the field.
It was very similar to my experience in White 2 when I was like really trying to keep that Scolipede around, especially because it was so hard to level it up from Venipede and Whirlipede. And then once I got it, I'm like, this isn't actually that good. And with that in mind, I have not really even tried with Venipede. This. And it only has Poison Sting.
Right, which is pretty spotty to begin with. It almost never poisons them, and it does so little damage. I have
it's
a Whirlipede like the real
now. Main game Poison Sting. It sucks.
But I also don't really like the Whirlipede either, so I'll probably stop training that Warlord, or I'll find them a new partner Pokemon.
A more perfect link.
Do you want to talk about perfect links? Because it sounds like you made some discoveries about linking this week. Which were a surprise to me too.
Yeah, you just saw my explanation and were shook.
I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was admitting that I even felt like a dummy for not putting this together, and I only noticed it after. I can't even remember that I knew this when I played this the first time, a decade ago. But I was idiot 20-something then. So now I got the full brain power.
30-something.
Yeah. So what I discovered is that it isn't like we need to use this Vicun website that we were fawning over last week. It is a useful reference guide, but you don't have to use it necessarily to actually see what all the best links are, because on the top center of the top screen on your DS of any warrior, once you go to info on the kingdom screen, it will just tell you, like, you know, it's 60% out of 100 or it's 30% out of 40 or whatever. And then that right side percentage is the max link that it can establish with that warrior.
Right.
So, for instance, your character with Eevee is a 100% and Oichi with Jigglypuff is 100. So that's their perfect link, so to speak. But I discovered it after my Shinx evolved into a Luxio, and then Luxio, and then Genchio. It's
big
warrior. Was like commenting like, "Oh, I feel so much closer to you now, Luxio." And then I was like, "What?" Yeah. And then I saw it again with Starly evolving into Staravia, which was Seagaze, and they also were saying something similar, like, this Staravia is really rubbing me the right way or whatever.
Yuck.
And then I like was just looking around for any indication. I was like, oh, wait, this percentage has increased up here that I didn't really understand and had been ignoring willfully. And they both are 100%, those two. And then I found this dude. I had this dude who I recruited in Ignis who had like a Tepig or something.
Yeah.
And I noticed his little outfit. He's half clad, like scantily clad, totally ripped dude, obviously. And then he's got a necklace on that has an anchor on it. I was like, Tepig,
that doesn't seem right.
Seems wrong for this guy with an anchor necklace and like who's wearing all blue of the very few pieces of clothing that he has on.
Yeah.
And I took him over to Fontaine, caught a Magikarp, and he linked up with it and he was like, this is it. This is
Magikarp, a dream come true.
This is for me. I haven't been living. Now I'm living.
I'm positively tumescent about this Magikarp.
Absolutely. I mean, and I could see because he has basically no clothes on. So
I had sort of vaguely figured out this linking thing, only because when you go in to do like capture battles at the zones, at the fields and caves and all that kind of stuff, depending on who you bring in, when you mouse over any of the wild Pokemon on the screen, if there is a good connection between the trainer you're controlling at that time, or the warlord you're controlling at that time, and the wild Pokemon, it'll show either a bronze, a silver, or a gold medallion over their head. So you're able to kind of get a loose idea of who can combine with what Pokemon based on those little medallions. And I did manage to pair up a couple of people with at least, 80 or 90%.
Yeah, and I believe the medallions are bronze is 40 to 69. Nice.
Hell yeah.
And then silver is 70 to 89. And then I think gold is 90 plus or something around there. It's like 40, 70, 90, I think. So we figured that out.
And I got a couple of people paired off with their OTPs, or what do you call it?
No, that's right. The one true pairing.
Yeah.
We ship them. Yeah, I've got a few. I'm shipping a few.
I'm shipping a few as well. So that was interesting. What a find. And all it took was you paying attention.
You're welcome.
Just even a little bit. Let's talk about this freak. Yoshimoto.
Yeah.
So,
what did you think of Pokemari?
I loved Pokemari, first of all, because
Yoshimoto
doesn't know how to use Pokemari.
No,
and
despite how much he loves it.
I know. I artfully used Pokemari to do a lot of damage to Yoshimoto's Pokemon. So the setup of Yoshimoto's field in the Chrysalis Kingdom it's sort of this Japanese garden. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's a little Magikarp pond.
Yeah, and there's these like bamboo sort of like water art things where every few turns they'll kind of like fill with water and tip over, and when that happens, more Pokemari are sort of released from the heavens. He's got like one of those like
which are like
nets,
bocce balls, kind of.
Yeah, they're big balls, and they bounce around on the field before settling in. So you might think that you've got like a straight shot to one of Yoshimoto's Pokemon. And then the next turn, a bunch of Pokemari will drop down from the ceiling, and all of a sudden you're cut off, and you have to like take the long way around.
Right.
But
they're also out in like basically a little Zen garden, and it's got rocks.
Yeah,
in
there's
the middle,
also rocks.
Like randomly, so they'll block it. So you have to think about the trajectory of the Pokemari ball.
Yeah. The other neat thing you can do with the Pokemari ball is if you attack it, it will fire off in the direction that you hit it in. Right. And it won't stop until it hits the edge of a screen or a water. And anything it runs into on the way, including Pokemon, both your Pokemon and Yoshimoto's Pokemon, take just a ton of damage, like anywhere between like 20 and 50 damage.
It's rough.
It's great because he never uses it. He never does it for some reason.
He did it to me once that I can recall.
Oh, I think I'm just so aggressive that I just like push into his side of the board like in the first and second turn, so he never even has a chance to make it down to the Pokemon.
Well, mine was because when I rushed out with my Eevee, I stepped on like some, I guess, stone button that was on the ground, and then the Eevee got surrounded on all four sides with like a wooden
fencing, which
and
means
then
you're
trapped
stuck
there for like two or three turns, and it got nailed by a Pokemon ball.
You can still attack when you're in there. So there's traps where you fall into a hole and your Pokemon is just stuck for a couple turns. You can't attack, you can't move. But the fencing prevents you from moving for a while, like 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah, it sucks.
But you still can attack, and you are better protected. It gives you a higher defense rating when you're in the fenced off areas. So you're stuck, but you're fine usually. Yeah, I was just bopping these Pokemon balls all over the place, just creaming his dudes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Bugs. Yeah.
Squishing them up.
He is weird, and he never stops talking about Pokemon, even after you've beaten him and bring him into new levels. He's like, every time you come into a new area, he speaks up, Yoshimoto, and he's like, oh, interesting. I wonder if they like play Pokemon here. It's like, it's a game, first of all. You didn't teach me the rules. And second of all, no, I bet they don't.
And shouldn't you be a lot better at this when like your whole kingdom is built around this game?
He's an eccentric, but I like him. I kept him on my team, him and his little Pineco.
I did recruit him, yeah. I think that this one, actually, I had pretty good luck here, and Terrera, I think I recruited everyone.
Yeah, I think I did too in the 2 gyms that I took, or 2 kingdoms that I took on this week. One of them was not Terrera. So yeah, and then there was another guy here when you come back later to do battles, whose name is Ujizane. And he has my You Make Me Barf Pokemon of the week.
Oh. And with a wealth of options, it must be truly hideous.
Igglybuff.
Yeah.
Igglybuff already, I think, in You Make Me Barf Pokemon, not a great looking Pokemon. You know what? I think more often than not, the babies are ugly.
I agree. This is what I'm always saying.
Igglybuff is especially bad, and the Igglybuff sprite in this game is terrible. All the you get none of the detail. The Jigglypuff was bad too, remember?
Right.
But the Igglybuff is even worse because they're like try to jam all the details onto an even smaller little like overworld icon. It looks like shit. I don't play it.
It looks like a truncated like Munna, which is already just a lump, you know? So it's just like an even smaller lump.
Yeah.
With 3 other lumps on its head.
I did look up Ujizane as I was filling out our notes for this episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, where did I encounter him? And I ended up on some like deep into some Warriors wikis. All of these characters, I think, are from the Warriors games, the Samurai Warriors games.
Oh, they're just straight up from the game?
Yeah, because I looked up Ujizane and I found his page and it was like talking about all of this stuff about him, and I was like, no, this isn't right. And I looked it up and he's just in the Warriors games.
Oh, so it is truly a mashup.
Yeah,
of
these
Pokemon and the Warriors games.
All of these guys are from the Warriors games, but also all of them are real people. Ujizane was a guy who lived in like the 1500s and was part of this like Japanese dynasty.
Here he is.
Yeah. So I think all of these guys are real guys. So is Yoshimoto a real guy? God, I hope not. I hope there wasn't a guy who was like that at one point in history.
There's a few Yoshimotos.
I'm sure there are.
Wiki. Banana Yoshimoto.
But also, I figured out that this Ujizane guy and his ugly little Igglybuff, it's not even his best Pokemon. His best Pokemon, his like best pair, his OTP is Pineco. But apparently he's the worst warrior in the game because he's just very weak, and even though Pineco is his true pair, he can't like utilize him in a good way. So
I believe that the warlords like Yoshimoto, they come packaged with their perfect link Pokemon, but the warriors are totally random. Like you might end up with a good or perfect match, but you might end up with the complete opposite, I think. That's how it works.
I think that's true. So yeah, I Ujizane, enemy number 1 with his ugly little Iggly buff. Though I suppose I could give him Yoshimoto's. Well, I guess it's not a Pineco anymore, so it wouldn't make sense. But
and I don't think they can. Can you trade between? No,
you can't. I was going to say that. I wish you could.
That would be great.
Because like I have a very high-powered Scyther, and he's great, and he carried me through Illusio, but he's on a guy who's only like a 40% match for him, so I could never get him above a 40% link.
Oh,
but it's like I wish I could trade him to someone who could treat him better, appreciate him.
Yeah, that would seem like a pretty easy upgrade to this game. I'll admit. That seemingly wouldn't really imbalance it either. Right now,
I guess it would, but you still have to grind out like catching all the warlords and pairing them off and stuff like that.
Right. Unless you just use this guide, the Vikun thing. It's a total guessing game of like, I'm going to bring these warriors, into this battle and hope that I find their perfect match or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is basically what I was doing because I was too lazy to be referring to Vikun, and I would basically just charge people in. Other than that calculation with the ripped guy with the anchor necklace.
Yeah.
I would just charge in based on wherever the warriors were stationed and hope that I would find a better match for them.
I think that makes sense. You can also run from those like non-warlord battles without incurring any penalties.
Right.
So if you go into a battle and it doesn't seem like you got any good OTPs, then you can jettison and just try again the next day because they will refresh to a certain degree.
Right.
When you wait a day. There also doesn't seem to be any penalty for just waiting a ton of days, There's always the threat that another kingdom will attack you, but except for one programmed story beat kingdom attacking me, I still have never been attacked by another kingdom.
Me too. Though from what I recall, the years eventually matter. Okay. I think that there are certain events that will occur based on like whatever year it is, but I think it's still a while.
Oh, I sleep like a ghost. I'm always sleeping, skipping days.
I basically try to exhaust all of them every month.
I've given up on that largely. It's just like
I don't know what year I'm in right now, but next week we should that's funny. We should sync up about what years we should compare what years we're in. I think I'm in maybe mid-year 3.
It'll be like a game of Age of Empires where you still have like your archers and I have like Chevy Camaros.
Yeah.
Driving around everywhere. So and that's Yoshimoto and the Chrysalis camp. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And then you recruit a couple of his dudes who have most of the bugs in this game are bad, with the exception of Scyther and his Pineco specifically. Pretty good Pineco.
I have not run him yet, but I would presume because of the connection, it's good.
It's got Bug Bite, so if you're going into the Psychic Kingdom next, which I did, you want a bug Pokemon that has Bug Bite.
The Sawaddle that I have has Bug Bite, and I've been pretty impressed. Actually, Bug Bite is pretty good.
Oh, my Sawaddle leveled up into whatever the second one is, Swadloon.
Yeah.
And now it knows, I think, Leaf Blade.
That seems pretty good too.
Grass type though is the problem. Yeah. Here's the other problem with this game is all of the Pokemon only know one move.
Right.
And it's rare that move is like a stab attack. It's rare that move matches up with its maybe not rare, but like
uncommon.
Frequently the move will not match up with the typing. So you think you're covered. You think you can go into Illusio and you think you've got plenty of bug Pokemon to take on Kenshin. And then you bring them all in, and all they know is like Electro Ball and Poison Sting, and all these like moves that like aren't super effective against Psychic. In fact, Poison Sting Psychic is immune to it.
Oh, it's even worse than this. They're immune.
So
Jesus,
that was my journey into the Illusio Kingdom. But first, I want to hear my story. My Illusio story is a saga.
You're not even prepared to tell it yet.
I need to collect myself,
Yeah.
I need to prepare myself mentally. So first, why don't you tell me about your journey into Terrera?
All right.
Where to begin?
I just thought you were going to try to trick me into
After
going
this break.
into an ad break.
All right, Joshua, tell me about your time, the time you spent in Terraria. Looks like a lovely part of the country.
It is. I found Terrera, although this is skipping ahead a little, but I found the actual kingdom to be one of the most delightful that I've seen. I was impressed with Chrysalis as well, as I said, but Terrera is like a desert oasis. So there's like palm trees and then like some water features and then the quote unquote tallest buildings in Ransai.
Oh, really?
Big towers that once you get to the battle, they each have platforms that you step on and then it elevates magically or by some sort of mechanism. And then on the roof are the banners that you have to hold. And there's 3 of them.
All in one little area?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. That's like King of the Hill. That's pretty fun.
That was fun. But before you can get to that, I did, as I mentioned, I took a look at Illusio. Yeah. And I saw what Kenshin was packing. And I was like, nope. I'm just going to go ahead and put that one off as long as I can.
Smart.
So I did a little bit more training, but I had a pretty good combination of Mon to just go for Terrera, basically as soon as I was done with Chrysalis.
Terrera, if you haven't sussed it out by the name yet, bug catchers, is the ground type kingdom.
Right. So it is led by Schengen.
Yeah, who's cool. He's got like a cool look.
Yeah,
very warlordy.
He is like the most warlordy that we've seen. He's got big, puffy white hair, like a lion's mane. And then he's got a mask that has like devil horns on it.
Yeah.
And like a fun mustache.
And he's got this
clad in all red
Rhyperior who it just works. They work together. You know, that's an OTP.
And I actually kind of want to say, I think this Rhyperior combination here was Joshy's sweetie.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. They look so good together, and the Terraria art is good in this game, especially the like not the character model, but like every now and then you'll see the full like splash graphic for the Pokemon, and they all look pretty good, but Rhyperior's looks especially good.
Yeah, and he's got like Shingen's very like boastful. And so he'll be like commenting to you. Like he initially is like, oh, why do you think you could even deign to come to my kingdom? Like, no. And he just rebuffs you. And he like, there's I took a picture of it. I'm trying to pull it up to show you. There's a screen where it's Schengen and his Rhyperior. Here we go. And they're both like laughing at you.
Yeah.
And so you see this with the little, that's why they're my sweetie. Because the Rhyperior's got these big honking teeth and he looks so joyful.
And these bazongas because of his his little flak jacket. Yeah.
So I really was into this. Rhyperior has really grown on me over the years. But now it's in this context, this illustration, I can't necessarily say the same thing about the sprite, but the illustration is the sweetie. So Shingen rebuffs you and he says, no, you can't even try to take my kingdom. You're too weak. Yeah. And I do think that I had like a 200 or so differential where I was lower in terms of like total attack power.
Yeah.
But that sounds right. What he does is he sends you back to wherever you came from. In this case, I was coming from Pugilis. So he dispatches his lieutenant to come over and try to attack your kingdom.
Right.
So his lieutenant has essentially the same team from what I recall. I think they're all just like minus the Rhyperior.
Yeah.
So it's a Charmander, Rhyhorn, Scraggy, Tepig, and what's the digging one?
Diglett?
Drillbur.
Oh yeah, Drillbur.
So they invade. Yeah. And you're fighting on Pugilis again, so it's like the dojo. I didn't really have any trouble. Like I said, my team was the team I was planning to invade Terrera with. So this is basically going to be my link check as well. But so I have Eevee, Jigglypuff, Panpour, Girder, Machop, and Spheal. Was the best that I could do to like be super effective against his team.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to bring any grass because he's got fire. So anyway, I defeated him, this lieutenant. And I think I only lost like a mon or two. So not too bad. And then after that, you have a little dialogue where this lieutenant's super impressed. And then like while you're conversing with them and you're shaking hands and everybody's like going their separate ways and like, good battle, buddy. You start transforming. Did you evolve?
Yes, I transformed.
So our warriors evolve.
I erupted from my own Chrysalis this week.
Yes.
The ugly
Finally
little caterpillar.
Who I really am.
That King Boo has transformed into a beautiful butterfly. Although I think he just keeps getting more and more beautiful. Both of us.
Oh yeah,
I think you get keep like evolving.
You get like a more proper like kind of samurai warrior outfit with like the the classic helm. You get more armor. You just look cool as hell.
Yeah,
like we were basically just wearing like normal,
we just look like normal everyday samurai.
Yeah, Japanese clothes. Yeah. And then we come out swinging with this cool new armor, and Uichi's like, "Oh, Haji Machi, like love your sweet little outfit."
Thank you, Oichi. I assume Oichi also evolves at some point, right?
Yeah. This I'm not sure. I think it must be triggered by probably the link that you have with your Pokemon that your warrior can evolve as well.
Yeah.
I must have hit that. I don't actually. That one I'm not sure about. But in any case, I'm a saucy new samurai warrior now. And after that, I was able to challenge Shingen and go to Terrera.
And how'd you do?
Pretty straightforward. I actually did better. I didn't lose any Pokemon because they were all then leveled up from the lieutenant battle. And I had super effective moves for everyone. Only thing I had to be careful with was Eevee and Jigglypuff because of those.
They're a real burden, those two.
Yeah.
Because you always have to bring them into every battle. Although you can catch new Pokemon for them, and I did, which was helpful this week. But it sucks that you always have to bring in your Warlord and Oichi.
Yeah, and you know that these are their perfect links, so it's like, oh great, so you could swap out Jigglypuff, but it's not going to be quite as good of a link. At least with your character, any of the evolutions, because eventually we can evolve it, will also be a perfect link. So Eevee is not that bad of a... I mean, now it's bad, but eventually is fine.
Yeah.
The Jigglypuff thing is not useful.
No, terrible.
So I got through it. I recruited everyone. I believe. So I got Rhyperior.
Is it 4 or 5 people? I think I went to Illusio, and I think I caught 4 or 5.
I think I got all of them. So I got a Rhyperior, Charmander, Rhyhorn, Scraggy, Tepig, and Drillbur.
Yeah.
I already had a couple of them, but and I can't recall. I collected them because I was like, well, maybe they have a better connection than what I already have, even though I have a Charmeleon, but whatever.
Well, and they can also be higher level too. So, or I guess that's what you mean by connection. Link level.
So pretty relaxed for me.
Pretty relaxed. And then you just
did a one-shot on all those kingdoms.
I
did some maintenance, but I mostly, I kicked back.
I was expecting to be pretty easy too, Josh. I looked at the 2 kingdoms, Terrera and Illusio, and what I decided was, I've got a lot of bug Pokemon, and I've got a couple dark Pokemon. At that point, I had I think 1 or 2 Scraggies and a Crocorock. Mm-hmm. Crocodile. What's the middle one called? No, it's not the middle one. It's the little one, Sandile.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm jealous of that. I didn't even know you could capture anything dark yet, which was part of the reason I never bothered with Illusio.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's to say, which Tanner already said, but after that, Kenshin is so impressed, he just lays down their battlements and enlists in
and
the
joins up. Yeah. Well, and also you get this big cutscene that's Nobunaga is he's here. He's taken over the next 3 kingdoms. So Kenshin / Shingen looked at what was coming, looked at the war machine on the horizon, was like, okay, I guess I should pair up with you 2.
Yeah, so it essentially, the island is sort of split in half with Nobunaga commanding one half and then we are commanding the other half.
Yeah.
So they throw in on our side, which is great. They made the right choice.
Tell
me about
what was ahead of me. And I was also maybe 300 points back from both of them. But I thought, with all these dang bugs I have, with all these Joltics and Venipedes and this new Pineco and these 2 dark type Pokemon I have, I could maybe I would have an easier time with Kenshin in the Illusio kingdom.
Illusio.
That was a mistake, Josh. The same story beats happen. You go to Illusio, you try to take them on, they rebuff you. They send you back, in my case, to Chrysalis. Mm-hmm. I got back to Chrysalis.
Oh, so you get in another round of Pokemari.
Tail between my legs for being humiliated by Kenshin for saying that I was too weak. And then he sends, who I believe is his wife, to attack me in... Oh,
it's a wife guy.
Yeah. And she came over with all these psychic type Pokemon and absolutely wiped the floor with me.
Oh, shit, really?
Just destroyed me.
Wait, did you lose Chrysalis?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
She killed all my Pokemon. I lost Chrysalis as a kingdom. She took over Chrysalis. I had to move all of my Pokemon out of Chrysalis, and all my other kingdoms were full. So I had to like make some cuts.
Oh my God.
And then I had to do the work of rebuilding and retraining and taking back Chrysalis first, which was already a struggle because it was the same like psychic type Pokemon.
That is so rough. I didn't know that you lost a kingdom too.
So that took a while to claw my way back into getting Chrysalis. And then once I was there, I was like, well, I'm obviously not in any shape to take on Illusio yet. So I was like, okay, I think Illusio's like power level was like 1230. And I was like, I'm just going to get my team to 1230 and then I'm going to go back in. So I do that. I train up, and I get them all like to just over 1230. And then I go to re-attack Illusio, and they just absolutely wipe the floor with me. The way Illusio is set up is it's 4 islands.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what it looks like.
There's a big grid in the middle of like little islands that only one Pokemon can be on at a time. And then there are 4 big islands on either side. And the 4 big islands are where the banners are. Your Pokemon spawn on 2 of the islands, so you can immediately go claim 2 banners. But Kenshin's Pokemon spawn on the other 2 islands. And then there are these portals that change every like 3 rounds that will warp you either between the islands or into like this maze of like single blocks in the middle.
God, that's a nightmare too.
There are moving platforms that move you between the single blocks in the middle, but like not in any kind of way that's useful, you know? So like even just navigating the map at Illusio is difficult. And like there's time limits on these rounds. You only have like 20 rounds to beat the people. In this particular setup, it wasn't holding the flags for 3 rounds like it was last time. It was once you have all 4 flags claimed, you win.
Just concurrently?
Yeah. So you got to like be protective. So I went in and was like, okay, I'm going to charge at him. He's got like he's got a Gallade, which Josh talked about, and then there's a bunch of other like psychic type Pokemon, and then a Drillbur and a Cubchoo in the mix too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. But his fucking Drillbur, of course, and his Cubchoo like tore through my bug Pokemon. Like I couldn't do anything to them. Oh, and my Joltix. I had 2 Joltix.
Right, yeah. That matchup is actually really rough.
And the Joltik and the Venipede don't do bug type damage. So they were useless against all the psychics. So I tried that about 4 times and just kept dying. But I was convinced. So if Kenshin, it's sort of RNG, because if Kenshin parks his Gallade on a flag, he'll never move that Gallade off the flag. So you can go and wail on him, but he'll just heal a bunch every turn.
So you would have to like surround it and do enough damage that you could like maybe kill it.
Yeah, but it's really hard to get there. It's really hard to get more than, 1 or 2 Pokemon over to him because he's on the opposite side. And then like he'll heal so much every round that even if you do 30 damage to him, he'll heal 20 of it back, and you only have 20 rounds to beat him, Yeah. So a lot of the times I was just losing on like running out of time.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But then I just had to like, after doing that a few times, I had to reassess and be like, okay, I got to bring in a fire type because I have to take care of that Cubchoo. And I have to bring in something that's going to help against that Drillbur who keeps digging. Because Drillbur's got the worst move. Drillbur does dig, where he'll dig down on one move, making himself invulnerable because you can't hit him. He's underground.
Right. And then dig is so annoying in this game.
On the second move, he'll pop up and attack whomever he had targeted, regardless of where you are on the map. So if you're next to him and he targets you, and you go through a portal and you're on the far side of the map, it doesn't matter. Drillbur will find you and he will hit you for all the damage he can give you.
Right. And then after he does the attack, he returns to wherever he was.
Yeah. So he can also
you can't then get like a pot shot off on him.
Yeah. It's so hard. So then I was like, okay, I'll bring in something to take care of a ground type Pokemon. I can't even remember what it was now. Maybe a water type or something. And I'll bring in Charmander or Charmeleon. Try that a few times. No luck. I can get through all of his Pokemon. I think Scraggy and Pineco specifically were doing a ton of damage. Like they could take care of all of the psychic types pretty easily.
And when you're doing these matchups, if you lose, because I haven't lost yet, so remind me,
He just taunts you.
Do your links increase so you can keep throwing them and you're leveling up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At least. Okay.
Yeah. All it hurts is your pride.
Right. You do get more experience from warrior warlord battles than like wild Pokemon. So that's nice at least.
When you lose to him, there's always a cutscene where he's like, pathetic. I can't believe you like thought you could take me on. And then when you go to battle him again, he's like, oh, back for more? And it's like, shut up, man. You're a video game.
This is all that you do.
So I went back with some new Pokemon, still got my butt crushed. And this is the point where I texted you and was like, I think that in the way that some JRPGs do, what we're looking at here is an unwinnable boss battle where it's programmed to make you lose for like some story beat, you know?
So once you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, that might make sense actually, because like I did Terrera and I was able to get through it. So maybe you just can't do Illusio and you have to do.
But like I told you the other night,
Terrera first.
Stubborn. I just kept at it.
I don't even know what doubling down is when you're going in for the 30th time or whatever.
I'll tell you what it is. It's giving my warlord Gothita, because I was like, well, it's better than Eevee.
Oh, really? You had a Gothita?
Yeah, my warrior caught a Gothita at some point.
Wow.
So I gave my warrior Gothita. I gave Oishi Mana, because I was like, well, at least Psychic is better against Psychic than normal, you know? And then I brought in Scyther, I brought in Pineco, I brought in Scraggy, and I brought in Charmeleon. And finally, with that team, after probably another 5 battles, I managed to like just get the luck of the draw. He did not put his Gallade on a flag. So I like hunted down his Gallade immediately and killed it. And then just went and like cleaned up the rest.
That's brutal.
And managed to capture all 4 flags and win. And then
your stubbornness paid off.
Yeah. It was so bad. I was just convinced. I was like, you can't win it, but you do. And the same thing happens.
What if I do?
Yeah. Shingen comes to you and he's like, oh, wow, like what a fight. Like
Respete.
Yeah,
I Respete.
And he joins up with you and you can just take over his kingdom. I think, and I said this to you the other night too, I think my way of doing it is slightly better because when you beat Kenshin, you get Kenshin with his Gallade, which is great, but you also get 3 other dudes who have Chrysalia, Girl Gallade.
I always get confused now because of my D&D character,
Gardevoir and an
There's
Abra.
A Gardevoir too?
Yeah. So I recruited these 3 people who have an Abra, a Gardevoir, and a.
Wait, are you sure it's not just Chrysalia? It's Gardevoir as well.
I think so. Maybe it was just a Ralts, but it was something.
There's a Ralts.
I think I maybe
Drillbur, Abra, Cubchoo, Chrysalia, Gallade.
I think what I did was got a Chrysalia and a Ralts, and the Chrysalia has leveled up into a Gardevoir already.
Damn, yeah, that's a good team. I mean, you've got much better Pokemon than I do.
And I get Schengen and his Rhyperior, but I don't get any of those other ground type Pokemon that you got.
Right. But I got Gallade, but I didn't get any of the others. And like I said, I already had a Charmeleon. I already had Tepig.
Yeah.
So like Scraggy, Rhyhorn, and Drillbur were new for me, but I'm not like, I don't need a Rhyhorn because I already got fucking Rhyperior. So actually, yeah, aside from that, I think you got Superior Mon. Your links are completely like on a whole other level compared to me.
They're probably pretty good. So all of that grinding and all of that leveling has left me with a pretty robust kingdom and a pretty robust team that I would like to tell you about now in Link Check.
Link check.
I had to just grind, Joshua.
So what are they?
Get my team up. So King Boo, and since then I've gone and done a little bit more training and moved some people around and given King Boo his Eevee back and all that kind of stuff. So this isn't completely the team that I beat Kenshin with, but it's not too far off. So King Boo has Eevee again. Level 253. Eevee's really like climbing. I think it's at like 70% link rate now. And I think once it hits 80, it can evolve. But maybe you need evolution stones as well. I can't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sure we're going to have to get stones, but I don't remember what triggers it.
Yeah, I bet we just find him somewhere. Oishi has Mana, and I'm going to keep Mana on it, even though Mana is only a 90% max link, unlike the Jigglypuff, which is 100.
Good.
Because Jigglypuff is fine and it's got a ton of HP, but it's just too weak to everything,
Yeah, it's got double slap, which misses pretty frequently. The healing warrior move.
Healing is great, and so is Lullaby, which it has.
It's like passive effect, yeah.
I'm going to take Mana for now. I've got Shingen with his Rhyperior, just because it owns Bones. And previously I had caught someone with Rhyhorn and had been using that. Rhyperior's level 335. I've got Kenshin with his Gallade, level 331. I've got Yoshimoto with his Fortress. It leveled up into a Fortress as I was beating Kenshin, 293. And then I've got Takatora with his Charizard. My Charmeleon
you got a Charizard now?
Leveled up into a Charizard, level 350. And I will just say Masake with their Scyther, level 262, also did a lot of good work this week. So honorable mention to Masake and Scyther. And then Joshua, across my vast kingdom, I've managed to amass a whopping 53 warlords.
That's absolutely absurd.
I mean, there's a lot of repeats.
I have like 35.
I have several Venipedes and things like that, but I've also got some good ones. I got that little steel scorpion bug, Anorith.
Oh, where the hell did you get that?
Don't know. Forgot.
What the hell? I don't have any of this exotic shit.
That's because I have so many goddamn warlords, man. I've got a Chingling, which is really useful. I've got
I did get one of those.
I have a Grovyle, which is very useful.
Oh, see, I just didn't even know that Trico was in this one.
Yeah, man. Jesus. So yeah, I've got a few little Pokemon who I'm enjoying playing with, and I think that's what you get for hunting down every single warlord you can and recruiting a 53 strong army.
Apparently.
But yeah, what a journey I went on, Joshua. Tell me about your team. Tell me about your kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned who they all are because this is just the team that I had going into Terrera, and I would make some swaps now that I've got Gallade and Rhyperior as well. But I wanted to just keep who I had. And like I said, I've been kicking back, so I haven't played since Monday or something. So it's Eevee, level 243.
Mm-hmm.
Jigglypuff, 226. Then we got Sorin with Panpour, unfortunately.
Wow. Okay, you're just running a Panpour, huh?
I had to, for ground.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's 183. Tadamoto's got Girder, 250. Girder is quite good.
Yeah, I don't like looking at it.
I can't remember. I don't think it's a perfect link, but it's pretty high. And then Takahisa is a Machop, level 208.
Is fighting good against ground?
Surprisingly has not evolved yet. I brought some fighting because of the Scraggy and the Drillbur.
Oh, okay. Smart.
But then also useful against Rhyperior, so.
Yeah.
And then we have Sesai, who's got Spheal.
Yeah.
176, which is useful against the Drillbur and the Rhyperior and Rhyhorn. And it's just cute. You can't mess that sprite up.
Yeah, hard to mess up.
They were all good. I have honorable mentions for the Mon who were with me for most of the journey. This is really who I just swapped out for that battle, and that's Hisahide with the Rufflet still, 217.
Oh, that Rufflet's so good. I love that little Rufflet.
It's not even a perfect link, but it's so good that I'm like, I don't want to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
Genshio has the Luxio.
Although I do think the first gym we take on next week is the flying type, and I think the Warlord has Braviary. So that's going to be 100% link, and it's already the evolved version
Luxio.
of it.
And then Muna Shige with Staravia 204.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I really want to put in some time with this Magikarp lover. Get a Gyarados next week would be one of my goals.
I've brought on a couple of the throwaway battles, I've brought the guy who has Magikarp along to just do some splashing to see if I can evolve it, but it has not happened yet.
It does get more experience, I think, from using Splash, though.
Yeah.
And then I've got it parked in a kingdom that's set for training.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Increasing the link. But I think at this point, especially based on what you're packing, I got some free time this afternoon. I think I got to put in some time and get some new talent in here.
Yeah, I think you will have to do that as well.
Despite all of your travails, you still enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it was honestly it was difficult to beat Kenshin. Reading the walkthrough that we used to sort of guide us, it says in the Kenshin part, it's like, oh no, don't bother. It was like, Kenshin's too difficult. Go take on Terrera instead, and then Kenshin will cave. But it was very fun to kind of overcome this challenge. You kept telling me to stop. You're like, just go take on Terrera. I was like, no, I must beat Kenshin.
Yeah. I'll say, like, I haven't had a challenge like that yet, but vicariously, I think there is a certain appeal to having, like, a real challenge without giving ourselves some stupid, crazy restriction, in a Pokemon game. It's just, like, naturally challenging.
Yeah.
And it's going to get more challenging. So I think that you are set up for success more than I am in this next leg, though.
I think that's probably true, but we'll see.
We've got Yujiyasu, Nini, and Kotaru.
Yes. So Yujiyasu is Cragspur, which I think is rock type. Nene is Viperia, which is, I think, poison type. And Kotaru is Yaksha, which is the flying type.
Okay.
So we'll see. And then we only have one other big battle the week after. And then we're on to the final two kingdoms, which are like the boss kingdoms. You might
say that again for whatever just fell.
It was a pen. I can't even remember what I said. It'll be fine.
You were saying that we after that we only have 3 more kingdoms before the final bosses.
And then the last week is just those 2 final bosses, the kingdom of Nixstorm and Dragnor, which is Mitsuhide and Nobunaga. So
that's right.
We will get through them. Honestly, I don't think any kingdom or any of these warlords could possibly be as hard as Kenshin was for me this week. So I assume it's just going to be smooth sailing from here on out.
Cakewalk for you now.
It had better be. So yeah, that's the show this week. Thank you for joining us. Josh, thank you for joining me. This has been Experience Share. It's a Pokemon podcast starring me, Tanapede, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Gallade. Please do rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and do follow the show anywhere that you follow podcasts. And do follow us at EXPSharePod on Twitter and Instagram.
And buy our merch at expsharemerch.com. And we're working on some new merch for the next season. But if you want to get some of the current stuff, you can pick it up. But I thought I'd let you know that, bug catchers.
Yeah, get it while it's still available. It's going to be rare someday.
The first edition merch.
When Josh and I are Supreme Chancellor and Co-Chancellor of the United States.
Yeah, Chancellor is troubling. Troubling terminology.
That's where we're headed, I think.
Yeah, that is starting to look like it. We'd be benevolent chancellors, though.
Sort of.
The good kind.
I think we'd be benevolent in the same way that, like, Chancellor. The Kremlin is benevolent, you know? Like, publicly, it's like, yeah, that we're on the level, you know, but behind closed doors.
A little unhinged.
It's all polonium all the time.
And speaking of unhinged, you can also join the community on reddit.com/r/bugcatchers.
Please do come join that community. It's robust and it's fun. And we
almost 1,000 members
have a battle to schedule.
We do. Oh, that reminds me. Yes. We have to honor our winning trainer or trainers of the week from Black 2, White 2.
Yep.
We are not doing that for this interstitial, but I believe we'll be bringing it back for X and Y. And yeah, we'll set up that battle and we'll report back.
Yeah. Joshua, bug catchers, thank you and goodbye.
Smell you later.